Morning and welcome to the Internet Threat Defense webinar that is co-sponsored by SMP and Cisco. My name is Jennifer Blauvelt and I'm the Director of SMP, and I'm going to go ahead and get us started. A couple of quick pieces of information supporting this. So if you have questions during the webinar, you can feel free to put them in the Q&A section of the webinar or wait until the very end and we will open up the lines for live Q&A. So just a quick background on SMP for those folks who don't know who we are. SMP has been delivering strategic information technology with integrity, passion, and a service guarantee for over 20 years. We serve all industries, and our value-based technology solutions and services center around security, audio-video, collaboration, digital workspace, and infrastructure. And we partner with top manufacturers like Cisco to provide world-class solutions to our customers. To introduce Talia Daniluk, who is a Cisco product specialist who is going to be walking us through the Internet Threat Defense Solutions and the Cisco Umbrella demonstration. And with that, Talia, take it away.
Thank you so much. I'll jump on and say a quick hello on video. Thanks so much for having me. Thanks for the intro, Jennifer. So we wanted to keep this really short and sweet, give you guys a bit of a sample of what Cisco Umbrella does, where it can fit in your security and network strategy, and a quick demo. And the hope is that everyone's interested in a free trial at the end of the day. I'll be very transparent. That's my goal. And we'll talk a little bit more about that towards the end. So again, the agenda will be talk about what Umbrella is, where it fits, and some of the challenges, and then get right to the technical demo because that's probably what folks are most interested in. Again, my name is Talia Daniluk. I'm a product specialist on the Cisco team. So really what I want to sort of lay the foundation for is that Cisco is making a lot of investments, whether it's acquisitions, research and development, engineering, in products that best align with the way that organizations are working today. The way we're not all hipsters looking out a window, but certainly we're not always working behind the firewall. We're working at home, off network from Starbucks, etc. We have a much more complicated landscape, oftentimes, particularly for our public sector customers. We are also, we don't have more, IT bandwidth to do the same types of work or even more work. So we need products that are scalable and flexible and can really align best with what our end users need, because that's really what's driving sort of the business needs. And security, Cisco is making a lot of investments there. There's some specific security challenges that arise in this newer kind of off-network landscape, and just in general across the threat landscape, which is one, an increase in malware and ransomware. That's no surprise, right? We see it every day in the news. Attackers have just as much time, they're better funded, they're designing all sorts of new ways to infiltrate our environments. And with this newer landscape, we also have increased more gaps, in visibility and coverage. So again, those unmanaged, BYOD, unmanaged devices, people are logging in from off network, they're logging into cloud applications that are not protected in the same way as our more traditional on-prem business applications, which also leads to the next point of this proliferation of cloud applications. When we move to the cloud, when we move all of our data to the cloud, we are not taking the same precautions typically as we would on premise, and we really should be. Our end users have a lot more autonomy with these cloud applications. They need to be a better first line of defense for us. And then with that, we're adding, all of these security challenges, but we need products that are still going to be easy to manage. And again, with that same lean, mean IT team that we had in the on-premise days. So quick rundown of some of the challenges we're seeing in our customers and a couple of ways that Cisco is addressing these. Now we're focusing on Umbrella today, but we have a whole portfolio of products that's, again, really designed to align better with our customers' needs, particularly thinking about how these are all cloud delivered. So cloud delivered solutions can be much more sort of agile and scalable to the way that folks are working now. We're going to talk about Umbrella, so I'll get right into the heart of it here. For those of you, some of you might be aware, Cisco Umbrella was formerly OpenDNS. A lot of folks are very familiar with that product, hopefully big fans of that product. Cisco acquired OpenDNS in about 3 years ago. And since then, we've really built out the security capabilities, the enforcement capabilities on top of OpenDNS, but that same core technology has remained intact. And that's really the power of Umbrella. It's what provides its simplicity. At a very high level, Umbrella is a security enforcement solution that will prevent your users from resolving to malware, to ransomware, to phishing attempts. And I'm going to it's that phone book of the internet. And very simply, Umbrella is baked into the foundation of the internet. So every single device, every single laptop, every single connected IoT device gets access to the internet by using DNS. And what OpenDNS has done, it was quite innovative at the time and remains so, is leverage that first hop to the internet, that recursive DNS layer, to enforce security. And they're doing this in a way that not many other vendors are doing. That's starting to become more of a de facto requirement for security strategies, but right now there's not that many vendors that are doing this. And it is sort of beautiful in its simplicity. As you can see here, all we're doing is providing a very efficient, safe connection for valid requests to the internet, for malware, for requests that are going to malware, to malicious sites. We're blocking that at the DNS layer. And for sort of a gray list of sites, we can further proxy that, which I'll talk about. But essentially, we're just making a determination about whether a site is good or bad at that DNS layer and blocking it. And there's some really nice benefits of adding security at the DNS layer in this way, in a very simple way, which I'll talk about. Is DNS. In order to take advantage of this product, which I'll reiterate throughout with a free trial, you're simply logging into our cloud-based dashboard to add your networks, and then adding Umbrella's IP addresses in your DNS forwarders. And it's as simple as that. It's about 10 minutes, and you're completely covered across your network from malicious requests. And again, adding the security at the DNS layer can be highly preventative. When you think about traditional security tools, it's not a design flaw, but they need to be a little bit more detect something in your network and then remediate the issue afterwards. Umbrella, because we're blocking these requests before they ever establish a connection in your network, it's highly preventative. And in doing so, we're also blocking a whole lot of traffic that never has to get to your firewall. So there's a really nice secondary benefit of blocking this traffic and then taking quite a load off of your firewall and your existing security stack. And as I mentioned, it's a really effective way to get comprehensive visibility across your network traffic because we're looking at DNS alone. So we don't care if it's port 80 or 443, which port or protocol. As long as it's reaching out to the internet, we're going to see it. We can apply security policy to it. So it's a very effective way, for our customers. Of course, security is typically primary when evaluating Umbrella, but secondary is really, I just don't have a really good, simple interface to get visibility into what's happening across my network traffic. This is a really great way to do that with the trial and certainly with the implementation. The initial line of defense that I described is that pointing your DNS traffic and your entire network is covered. We do have some additional layers of deployment to get you better, more granular visibility and policy application as well. So we have an Active Directory integration, so you can see more specifically, okay, we know that these bad requests are being blocked by Umbrella, but we probably also want to know where those requests are coming from, what Active Directory user, or we can see which device they're coming from with our roaming client. So the roaming client is an excellent way to get visibility into where requests are coming from, and more importantly, we can then enforce security and filtering off network. So it's a very lightweight client you can push out to your managed devices, and whenever your staff, your employees are leaving the network, we can still enforce security at the same level, regardless of what network they're on. So we can really extend this well beyond the firewall and the more traditional security controls that you might have in place. And lastly, what's the secret sauce behind Umbrella? Yes, we understand you can block things at the DNS layer, but why is that a more effective layer than simply doing it with my existing tools? I have tools that are blocking malware requests or that are detecting malware. And the secret sauce behind Umbrella is really the intelligence, and also one of the main reasons I encourage folks to just test the product in their own environment. If you hear intelligence from a security vendor, it's sort of a dime a dozen, but this is really an important piece of what we're doing. So you think about what we're looking at from a per environment perspective, so all of that DNS traffic, regardless of port and protocol, and then multiply that by 100 million daily active users across 160 countries and over 15,000 customers. So our view as an organization of the internet is really comprehensive and really massive. We're one of the largest recursive DNS providers on the planet. Every single request that we resolve every day, over 150 billion, gets our analysis and algorithms applied to it. So every single request, we're looking at about 80 different indicators of compromise. What makes this DNS request good or bad? Is there a massive spike in traffic that we weren't predicting? Is there a co-occurrence of this site always being requested after this known bad? Is it being spun up by a known attacker? And with this, there's often ways we can spot an attack being staged before an environment is ever impacted. So it's a very powerful view of the internet that we can then instantly put back. We can put that intelligence back into our customer's environment because it's all cloud delivered. So it's a very way to get that intelligence. And we also now, as part of Cisco, are fortunate to be feeding in intelligence from the Talos organization. So the Talos organization is Cisco's cyber threat researchers, about 350 researchers that day in, day out, they live in data and are finding that needle in the haystack on behalf of our customers and then putting that intelligence back into our customer environments. So if you think about the Cisco security footprint globally, every single, the ASA is the most widely deployed firewall on the planet. We have our endpoint protection, our firewalls, our umbrella, et cetera. All of that intelligence is being fed back into the main, sort of Talos hub. So all of these products are being bolstered by that data. And I think, when we think about the security landscape from a vendor perspective and how it's evolving, a lot of these products are starting to check the same box. And it really is going to be a matter of what is the intelligence, what's the enforcement behind that. So I think Cisco is doing some really interesting things to keep an eye out with that respect. Talos was the first to identify that VPN filter malware we just learned about recently. So with that, I'm going to pivot into the demo environment. And I have Jennifer, keep me on task if there's any questions or for those of you that are using OpenDNS at home or have in the past, obviously a vastly improved interface. Again, product up, it's as simple as coming into this dashboard. We get you credentials to log in. dashboard. You add your egress IP address. And obviously, you're gaining the benefits of Umbrella security. We deployed this Cisco-wide internally as a company and for a massive global organization with lots of, different one-off use cases. It took about a day to do it. So for really good insights about your environment as far as the traffic that you're seeing. So total number of requests and blocks, and then obviously most importantly, what are the security threats that we're seeing and blocking? And then, as I mentioned, we have the Active Directory integration as well as that roaming client, so you can better see and apply policy to specific identities and groups. So we can drill into specific identities here and get a look at what is the specific security activity that we're seeing from this user. Are we seeing command and control callbacks that need to be further remediated, for example? So it's a good snapshot of what's happening per user and kind of your heavy hitter users that might need some further work. I'm going to go walk through a policy briefly because I think that's a good way to kind of showcase the different identities, the different functionalities we can offer. And as you can see here, this is all very straightforward. I just played Vanna White at this point. So we can map to apply policy to specific Active Directory users, specific sites. If you have distributed networks across a number of different sites, we can set up virtual appliances to get single pane of glass management and security for all those different sites and devices. For state and local government in particular, if you have parks, museums, etc., where you're providing free Wi-Fi, Umbrella is a very simple way to get security across the board. And again, deployed in a matter of minutes, and we can actually, if you're using Cisco Meraki devices, we can implement that via the Meraki dashboard. So some integrations in the Cisco portfolio that feel free to ask us about on a next call. To do. So we're going to enforce security. We can inspect files via that intelligent proxy. I won't spend too much time on that, but the intelligent proxy is what we're doing for a list of risky sites. So we have a dynamic list of risky sites where the domain name itself might be safe, but we know that users can host content on there, like a reddit.com or a GitHub. They could potentially host code there that might be malicious. We use Cisco AV engines to further inspect the content on those sites. We can apply content filtering and destination lists as well. If they're not want to be logging security events for, particularly applicable, I think, in the higher ed space, where you kind of have a bit more of a hands-off approach to security. You want to know it's blocked, but your users don't want to be monitored. We can opt not to log their requests. Protect them without logging them. Default security settings that are applied. So malware, command and control, phishing, usually the most sort of egregious and targeted threats. The other categories here, we highly recommend you turn those on actively so we can be blocking these categories. Depending on the environment, they're more heavy-handed. Crypto mining is certainly one that's been a hot topic of late. We've seen, again, in our university and K-12 environments, crypto miners that have been stealing, valuable computing resources. That's been a very interesting one of late. Newly seen domains, there are legitimate reasons why there would be a newly seen domain with a massive spike in traffic, but it's a very good indicator that that is an attack that's being carried out. Likewise, down the line. Regardless of what you choose to block or allow, you'll still be able to see which sites, which DNS requests are being categorized in each category, if you will. We do have some integrations with the broader security vendor space, which Cisco has acknowledged, as they've acquired in DNS, that the landscape is very complicated from a vendor perspective, and we need to be able to enable our customers' environments, whether they choose to use the full Cisco architecture, which has great benefits, or if they're using a checkpoint firewall, for example. Great. I'll cancel that and proceed. Our content filtering categories. So all of the content categories you'd expect, and the relevant categories for SIPA compliance, you'll see here. You can create custom categories or simply block a moderate level of activity or of sites. We can enforce safe search here as well. The content is a little, it's very straightforward. It's a little bit more black and white. You can apply block and allow lists, that being said. So if you wanted to create a global allow list that sort of superseded any policy that you set, you could do so. You can also do things like blocking bandwidth hogs. These are all fully customizable, blocking certain geos as well. Page if you choose to do so. So if you want to create a block page specific to the content categories versus the security categories, you can accomplish that here, as well as bypass users and codes. And then anything that we went over here from an identity perspective, from a security category perspective, et cetera, you can then report on and get more visibility and schedule reports as well. Convenient widget, which I'll save for next time. I want to quickly show you guys some of the reporting, and then if there's any questions, we can cover that as well. The to start, particularly if you're running a trial, let's say you are presenting the data to someone internally that's a bit less technical, but you still want them to see the power of Umbrella. Everyone knows malware is bad. We can see, then assume that 19,000 requests is bad as well. And then everything here is clickable. So you can really get a quick snapshot of the value that's being added with Umbrella and then drill into those requests. So what are the 19,000 malware requests that we've seen in the past week? And which trials that we're seeing command and control callbacks, particularly direct your attention to those, because that's indicative that a device has already been compromised. You might need to do some additional cleanup there. And for those of you that are unaware, a command and control callback is when an infected device, let's say you have malware on a machine, it's making a callback to the botnet mothership essentially for further instruction, so for encryption keys, for example. So if you're blocking that, you're significantly preventing the proliferation of any malware or ransomware within your environment. And then console briefly. So Investigate is an add-on with Umbrella where you can get visibility into the threat intelligence that we have behind the block destination. So you know being blocked, but within Investigate, you can actually see the sort of the proof behind it and the intelligence that we're leveraging in order to make the determination whether this is good or bad. So you can see a pattern of DNS queries to the site because it's sort of a random, potentially non-human created domain name. We can see that it might have been created using a DGA. We get the whois record data, et cetera. Geolocation. So that's on some of the features. I think, again, the beauty of Umbrella is it can be implemented so simply and as you're seeing here, managed very simply as well across as distributed or, mobile, a network, and a employee body as you have. So particularly for folks that are going off network, if you have a security stack that you're finding difficult to manage, if you don't have good visibility into the network traffic as a whole, and simply reducing the overall threat surface. So reducing the number of, the amount of traffic and the number of threats that are ever making it through to your network and to your firewall. Add for you, I would argue that it really fits into any security stack and any security environment. And we would very much encourage you to try that out for yourself. So we can work with, if you're interested in a free trial, just reach out to SMP. They have a link they can provide you. You can sign up. It's a 14-day trial. It's a very lightweight process that always provides great value. So with that, hopefully we'll get a chance to work with some of you folks. And I appreciate the time. Jennifer, is there anything you wanted to add here?
Yeah, thank you so much, Talia. That was a great overview. And to follow up on your mention of the trial, everybody who's attended today, we will send out an email for information and a link to sign up for that 14-day trial of Cisco Umbrella. You can also find information to the trial on our website, which is SMP-Corp.com. Look under the security area, and within the ransomware tab, there's information on signing up for the Cisco trial. So again, thank you so much, Talia. I think this is a great overview, and with that, I am going to open up the lines in case we've got any questions out there.